Frumess talks about Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Let's all talk about Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
Ho! Back again, another day, another film. Today's film is called False Positive. It's horror movie number 6 for 31 Days of Halloween. Some of these aren't exactly horror movies. They're, horror adjacent, but they fit, thrillers or whatever, some sort of genre film that would fit in a horror section. False Positive is definitely one of those films. I did not write like a scripted thing, like, a review that I put on Letterboxd. I'm not going to read that. This is what the movie is about. As if getting pregnant weren't complicated enough, Lucy sets out to uncover the unsettling truth about her fertility doctor, who's played by Pierce Brosnan. Lucy is played by an actress named Ilana Glazer, and she wrote the screenplay. And this is a Hulu original. I highly recommend you checking this one out, but it is very intense and probably will trigger women or couples or anybody who's had experience with difficulty in pregnancy and all of the mechanics and baggage and tragedy and trauma that comes with getting pregnant or trying to get pregnant. Just putting that out there. I really don't know how to begin to talk about this film. Basically, it's a couple, they're trying to get pregnant. It's Lucy, and the husband is played by Justin Theroux. Is that how you pronounce it? Theroux. His name is Adrian, and they're trying to get pregnant. They go to this doctor, played by Pierce Brosnan, as I said, and he's got this nurse played by Gretchen Mol. What's her name? Let me find it out. I got the IMDb here. Nurse Dawn, and Dr. Hindle. It's the Hindle Institute or whatever. They go to get pregnant, and he, sort of gives them like some IV, whatever, IVF is what it's called or something or other. And you're definitely, right off the bat, we're getting some Rosemary's Baby vibes, like total Rosemary Babies vibes, right off the bat. There's just lots of weird stuff happening. The movie jumps around. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's dream logic, or there's just a lot of the film is very surreal. It's just dreamlike, and you're not sure what's real and you're not sure what's not real. That's the best way to sum it up. I don't even know how to, describe all the different plot story beats, because that's what it is. And things fall away. She's ambitious, and then her pregnancy gets in the way of her ambition, wrongfully so. It kind of really is sad. She loses an account because she gets pregnant, which is just totally unfair, but they use her ideas. And then it just kind of like melts away. And Adrian, who's, seems like the perfect husband at the beginning, isn't so much a perfect husband. She gets pregnant with triplets, because that's what happens when they, shoot you full of fertility stuff, or however that works. I'm not talking in exact science here because I don't know, and I'm not pretending like I know. They shoot her full of stuff, and it gives her way more babies than she wanted. They get 3 babies, which was a little unsettling when they're doing the ultrasound and you see that there's 3 babies. You're like, oh, there's something going on with those babies. And of course, there is 2 of them are males, and they're twins, and one of them is a female, and she's a singlet. There's singlet and twinlet, I think. And the singlet is weaker. And so they suggest to give the babies the best chance of survival that you have to, I forget the term, you have to excavate something, which is essentially, it's a form of abortion. And so they do that. And, she gets shot up with her husband's stuff, her husband's gunk, his baby batter, so we think. And they end up excavating, and they have to choose. She's already named the baby Wendy, and I don't understand what the name Wendy signifies until a little bit later. And then there's the twins, and the husband Adrian, he wants the twins, and she wants the twin boys, and she wants the single daughter. And right then and there, I'm thinking, if this is like where the conflict of the film is going to like come from, like it's going to be husband versus wife brutality over this, I'm thinking, wow, this is great. This is this is going to be insane. Such conflict of interest. What is going to happen? But no, it doesn't go that way. It doesn't go down that way. And we take some twists and turns that I was not I mean, some of it was predictable. Like when he's injecting her with the stuff, I kind of was thinking about this very real life incident. There was a doctor, fertility doctor. You got to Google it. I did not Google it before I did this video review. I really should have. There was some doctor who was injecting women without their knowledge or consent with his own stuff, with his own baby batter, and getting these women pregnant with his children, essentially. And really, really terrible stuff when you think about it. It is a form of RAPE, which is said in this film, because we find out that the doctor is actually the father of the babies. Now, it's not just that. When I read the IMDb, because I wasn't really sure what was going on, I was very confused. This movie is not particularly easy to follow because it's jumping around. We're not sure what's real, what's not real. Nothing is explained or unexplained. We just see that she's kind of like losing her mind a little bit. They give her Xanax. She's having these weird dreams. She sees Dr. Pierce Brosnan getting a blowjob from her husband, which indicates some stuff. Here's what the trivia section says. In every scene where seemingly good news is delivered to Adrian and Lucy, Adrian always hugs John, the doctor, Pierce Brosnan, before turning to his wife, an indication that he is celebrating the next successful step in Adrian and John's plans, because eventually we find out that Adrian is going to be partnering up with John, and then it kind of gets revealed that John has said, take my babies and I'll make you a partner, something like that. And so it's another successful step in Adrian and John's plans rather than celebrating his child with Lucy, which he would do if he genuinely loved her, I guess. Then there's another scene where there's another exchange here on the trivia where it says, in each scene that they share, Adrian and John have exactly the same hairstyle and beard. This foreshadows the revelation that John has been cloning himself for years. I don't know where they got cloning. I did not pick up on cloning. I just thought he was putting his baby batter in everyone. This happened in South Park too with Butters. Butters is getting all these women pregnant with his own juice. You know what I mean? John is momentarily disarmed when Lucy reveals to her baby as Wendy. This is because he knows she is having boys rather than a girl. This is very confusing because we're pretty much certain that she's having a girl named Wendy, and then all of a sudden when she's giving birth, 2 boys come out, right? Oh no, I think Wendy comes out, but then it turns out to be 2 boys. I don't know. It's never really said. It just gets very, very surreal and ambiguous. This is probably the worst part of the film for me. I really wanted I needed some more absolutes. I didn't need all the surreality like the VH1 show. I didn't need all that surrealness. Just give me like more of a straight story, and I didn't get that. So I found that a little frustrating. Adrian picking the name Adrian Jr. for the boy foreshadows the fact that he knows his son will be another clone. So I don't get that. I don't get where all this cloning stuff. I don't know what I missed. And then it says it's currently being described as a modern Rosemary's Baby. You don't need to read the IMDb trivia to understand that is true. But the way this thing ends, man, it gets really crazy. And basically, she walks into the clinic, and that nurse says, "Welcome to the family." And suddenly it makes sense when you realize it's Dr. Pierce Brosnan's baby batter. And another thing that's interesting, I should note real quickly, Lucy is the name of the first primate, or like our first modern ancestor or something from 4 million years ago, a skeleton discovered somewhere in Africa. I thought that was an interesting parallel. I wonder if Lucy had anything to do with that. Lucy kicks Dr. Pierce Brosnan in the nuts, and it is really glorious. It just deserves. She's like, "You RAPED'd me," and then kicks him in the nuts, and then she just beats the crap out of him. And, and then what's interesting, she takes the tool, this ultrasound tool, and shoves it down the nurse's throat, and the nurse pulls it out. You think she's dead, but then she stands back up. She pulls it out, and she goes, "I trained myself not to have a gag reflex." She's like the subservient, compliant with the sort of misogynistic control over the women in their bodies or whatever. I don't know. Some sort of trip going on there. And then, and then she gets, she kills them. She's walking home. She's covered in blood. Lucy's covered in blood. She gets home and she picks up the 2 babies in a very surreal moment. Suddenly the Wendiness of it all makes sense. She goes through an open window and you think she's going to throw the babies out, but then we're treated to another moment of surrealness, rightfully so, because you don't want to see babies flying out a window. And the babies float off as Wendy is singing to Michael off screen, Michael being one of the darling boys from Peter Pan. And then suddenly you go, oh, Wendy, Peter Pan, kids flying out the window. And then it cuts to a mural in the baby's room of all the darling kids flying around England, around Big Ben. And it made me think about Neverland in a whole new light, that Neverland is I'm never going to grow up because I'm not alive, because I've died. It's a place, it's infant heaven. It's child heaven where you go when you die and you're a child. It's like this happy place, this happy sort of nirvana for children who die and are treated to a happy distraction from the very sad, tragic reality of their death. And that's what I was getting from this Peter Panish thematic stuff that was happening, you know? And yeah, I didn't really see anything about clones. I don't know where the clone stuff was coming from. Just the idea that the doctor wanted to spread his perfect genetic material. That's the only thing. But you could do that just by being a father, not necessarily, you know, cloning yourself. And eventually the movie ends again, the movie ends in the biggest what the fuck moment ever. She sends off Adrian with the two twin boys that aren't, and he's going, what am I going to do? Which I thought was a very interesting choice of words. I mean, we probably could really unpack this film endlessly with just that alone. And then she, you know, one of the things that she took her placenta and dead fetus Wendy with her in a plastic bag home from the clinic. And after she sends away her husband with their two children, she sits down with the little teeny baby fetus and she's like crying, and this song, the Wendy song, is playing, and she whips out her tit and starts breastfeeding the dead fetus. Yeah. She's breastfeeding the dead fetus. That is the sentence I just said just now. She's breastfeeding the dead fetus as she's crying. It's actually like as what the fuck as much of a what the fuck moment as it is. It's also like really sort of like tender and like sad and tragic. And then all of a sudden the baby comes to life. No joke. The fetus smiles and starts accepting the breast. And Lucy seems kind of shocked by this and happy, and the movie ends, and that's the movie. Definitely recommend this one. We are 6 for 6 recommendations. I would recommend every single film that I've watched so far for 31 Days of Halloween. I'll see you tomorrow with another movie. I'm about to start, at least right now. I've got 2 shows to do tonight, or I got a show to do tonight, and I got a show to do tomorrow night, both with Mr. Jimenez, so we're going to do that. And that's it. I'll see you tomorrow.